Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Lebanon's Board of Zoning Appeals meeting for March 4th, 2019. Can we have roll call, please?
Okay. Gordon Perry?
Here.
Bruce Polly?
Here.
Ron Edwards?
Here.
Chad Kiger?
Here.
And Lori Gross?
Here.
Everybody's here tonight. The minutes for the the January meeting, I think, isn't it?
Yeah, January 7th.
Yeah, January 7th meeting. There was no meeting in February. Has everybody had a chance to look over the January meeting minutes? Take a motion to...
I'll make a motion that we approve the minutes as written.
Second.
Okay, have first and second. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Okay, the minutes have been approved. We have one item tonight on our docket. It's Scott Bean for Scott's Garage. It's docket number 19-5. The subject property is located at 514 Combs Street here in town. The property is zoned general industrial and comprised of 1.52 acres. The lot configuration is approximately 200 feet wide, 340 feet deep. Dan, you want to continue?
Good evening, board members. How are we doing this evening?
Good.
I'll walk through the staff report here real quick. This is a fairly straightforward application and request. May need to zoom in a tad here so you can see what we're talking about. Mr. Bean approached us about building a 24-foot by 24-foot garage on the property where he has his auto repair facility. That'd be 576 square feet. If you recall from our accessory structure standards, if it's a residential property, you're allowed up to 50% of the primary structure in terms of area for your accessory structures. On non-residential properties, it's only 15%. So it's much more limited. In a situation where you have a large commercial facility, you don't necessarily want to have significant size accessory structures. In this case, he's only got about a 2,200 square foot facility on this property, so he's significantly limited because of the size of his primary structure. As you see here, this kind of shows you the property. The main building sits right here, and the accessory structure would sit where this yellow square is right here, right off the back end of their parking lot. So as you can see, there's plenty of room to meet all the applicable setback standards, both from the side and rear. In this situation, he's just limited because of the size of his main structure. Property is significantly sized to accommodate this such facility. Just walking through, there's the three criteria in order to consider development standards variance. The first is that the approval will not be injurious to the public health, safety, morals, and general welfare of the community. Relief from this accessory structure area requirement will cause no undue injuries to the public health, and it's really because of the lot size. The increase in the size of the garage will cause no negative effects on neighboring properties. Criteria number 2, use and value of the area adjacent to the property will not be affected in an adverse manner. The use and value of the area adjacent property will not be affected. The garage will be placed in a location that will have minimal impact on the adjacent neighbors. And in this case, a couple of the neighbors are also industrial in nature, so the use of this property is not going to impact those. There are a couple of houses that are in the area. If you recall, this area is a fairly mixed neighborhood. You do have everything from single family to multifamily all the way up to industrial in this area. In this case, this is the use that's permitted by right in the industrial zoning classification. Those neighbors who are using them as residential properties are actually legally existing non-conforming. So, criteria number 3, the strict application of the terms of the UDO will result in practical difficulties. In this case, strict application will result in practical difficulties. The property where the proposed structure will be constructed is approximately 1.5 acres. Or more than sufficient to contain an accessory structure this size. In this case, the applicant is limited by the size of the principal structure, even though the property contains the acreage necessary to site the garage. Staff recommendation, planning staff recommends approval of the development standards variance request to permit relief from the accessory structure area requirement of the UDO. Be happy to answer any questions if there are any.
Ben, can you put can we have the map back up?
Sure.
So I'm looking at, there's a drainage issue or a drainage concern here, correct?
There is not. I actually went out on site, so this was the plan that was proposed when they built the primary structure. I'll let the applicant talk a little bit more. The way it's actually constructed on the property, this entire parking lot flows to the front into the drainage that's provided to the front. That ditch that's proposed in the back there was not constructed. It's all flat. So that there is no impact. That was what my first concern. I called Mr. Bean about that, and he suggested that the way it was constructed is slightly different than what was shown on the original plan. So all the water flows from back to front on the property.
Okay, and that's still all in accordance with the approved drainage from the 2016 variance?
Yes, there hasn't been any drainage issues out there.
Okay. Thank you.
Any other questions? Thank you, sir. Would the applicant care to step forward and speak a little bit, tell us a little bit about what's going to happen?
What do you need to know? Just
Well, to start with, your name and address,
Scott Bean, 514 Combe Street.
and then just a little bit about structure and so forth.
It's a pole structure, same as what I have now. 24 by 24 by 14. It's just primarily for storage, parts, just to keep it from sitting outside, keep the place looking nice. That's really about it.
Are you gonna, will the exterior,
It will match the current.
it'll match
it'll
the
be
existing
identical.
facility?
Yeah, everything will be identical, top to bottom.
Okay. Any other questions? Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
I'd take public comment if there is any. Seeing that we don't have any, I'll close the public end of it. Does anybody have any questions for anybody?
Another question for Ben.
Yes.
So the primary structure on here, that drives the size, by code, that drives the size of what can be constructed.
Correct.
And the variance is because we want to make it, it's only 15% of what's existing.
Right, yeah, in this case, you've got a property that's significantly larger, but you're restricted by the size of the primary structure regardless of the size of the property.
We have any code or code set up as to how many structures can be on a parcel like this or on an industrial parcel?
You're limited by square footage, so he could have one of them that's at the maximum, or he could have three of them that add up to the total of the maximum. So in this case, if you were to want to add any additional structures, it would automatically come back here because he's already exceeding that maximum permitted.
All right, thank you.
If there's no other questions or whatever, I would entertain a motion.
Make a motion to approve docket 19-5.
Is there a second?
Second the motion.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Kelly, would you take roll?
Gordon Perry,
Aye.
Bruce Polly,
Aye.
Ron Edwards,
Aye.
Chad Kiger,
Aye.
Lori Gross.
Aye.
Okay, it passed unanimously. Good luck. Do we have any other old business tonight? Well, that being said, it's going to be a quick meeting.
Bruce? Did
Yes, sir.
we talk about potentially moving the April 1st?
Yes, we did. Ben, would you, what date did we decide on for the April meeting?
Yeah, I'll have to, I believe it's the second Tuesday.
The 8th
The 9th.
or the 9th?
The 9th, if
I
I'm not
think
mistaken.
you're right.
We actually approved that at the beginning of the year. It was a typo on our agenda that said April 1st, so. Yeah.
Okay, yeah, so
Couldn't remember if we had talked about that.
I know we talked about moving it and so forth, so,
So it's the 9th.
yes.
Calendar at home.
Okay, did I get a motion to,
Motion to adjourn.
second, please?
Second.
All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Meeting is adjourned.